Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm Brian Mounts. I run Old Friends Wine with my good old friend, Rob Weingart. He is a staff sommelier, or I should say he is a certified sommelier. He is an expert. Let's just put it like that. Over on our website, which we have linked down below, one of the most common posts that people read and question, have questions about, is our article about Merlot and Chianti. If you're anything like me, the first introduction to Chianti you ever had was probably from Silence of the Lambs. What is the difference though, Rob? Can you please enlighten us all?
Yeah, I will answer this question, but only after I have managed to cook myself some fava beans, because who knows? Um, Merlot and Chianti. Let's get down to it. Merlot and Chianti. This is an interesting place. So one of the things that's fun here is that you've kind of bumped into one of the things that's so confusing about the wine world is that sometimes we talk about wines in terms of the grape that they are, and sometimes we talk about the region of the world that they come from. A big part of that has to do with whether those wines are European wines and come from the old world, or whether they're wines coming from the US, Australia, South America, South Africa, anywhere in what we would consider the New World. The idea here is that, like, once upon a time, we didn't necessarily know what we were growing in the vineyard. So if you're in France or Italy and you've been growing grapes for 2000 years ago, like, it was a grape and you took it and you made wine from it and it was great, and you didn't necessarily know that it was Merlot or know that it was Sangiovese. You just knew that it was a grape and it made wine. And so what you did was you called it out by the region that you grew in. You grew in Chianti. So we'll start with Chianti, which, like I said, is a region of Italy. It's one of the biggest regions of Italy. It has been classified as a quality controlled region of Italy for a very, very long time. The primary grape that you can expect to see in Chianti is Sangiovese. And Sangiovese has this historically well known bitter cherry characteristic. If you've ever had any sort of like tart or like cooking cherry characteristic, you'll know what this is. It is medium skinned and sort of medium bodied. It's best known for being both uh, tannic enough to sort of stand up to things like sausages or like a salami, but not so tannic or aggressive that it needs to age for an incredibly long time. This is why this wine was so valued as a table wine. It had a tendency to go from fresh and young to where it needed to be enjoyed within a fairly short window. Merlot, on the other hand, is kind of a different animal. Merlot has had a long and historied past where it's been in favor and then it's fallen out of favor and it's come back around. And in its best versions, Merlot is chocolatey and it's deep and it's got these sort of like resinous, earthy flavors. If you're in France, it is the primary grape that is in one half of the Bordeaux regions versions of these wines. Um, it can be soft and lush and filling and sort of fluff things out, or it can be this sort of like forward punch of blueberry and blackberry and sort of density. And I think that's why people are drawn to it. Where it has sort of fallen out of favor over the years is that it definitely is fickle in the vineyard. It's not as easy to grow as something like Cabernet Sauvignon. So over time, vineyard growers have supplanted Cabernet Sauvignon, put more Merlot in, and continue to use Merlot, much like Malbec, as a blending varietal and saying, like, it's better if we kind of put a couple of these things together to go sort of sort this whole thing out. You wind up with wines that are more complex and more interesting, with deeper layers of flavor when you blend grapes like that. So Merlot has definitely found a new home though outside of France. I would say here in the States, somewhere like Washington is really where I would look to. If you are meeting the in-laws for the first time, or you've got the boss on the line for the first time and you're going out to dinner, and you kind of want to throw down on something that's going to be medium priced but is still going to impress. Washington Merlot is a great place to go. You're going to pay a little bit more than you would for that like entry level bottle of like, oh, whatever is the sort of like house wine, but what you're going to wind up with is going to be something that's much more impressive, much more showy, and still have all of that structure and that intensity, all of the things that are really interesting about these wines when they have a chance to develop. And Washington does an outstanding job of those wines for Merlot. So, yeah, Washington Merlot, or Merlot just in general, Chianti, two very different wines, but both wines very much worth seeking out.
Thank you for that, and thanks for shouting out something other than California. If you don't know, I am from Oregon, and both of us used to go to college together down in Southern Cal. But I do like my Pacific Northwest wines. Thank you very much, Rob, for sharing all of that information. Again, a lot of that information is linked down below over on our website if you want to kind of get a written version of it. If you are in the market to learn more about wine, we've got another video where we're basically covering the differences between all of the main kinds of wine that you're going to see in restaurants and on menus and in grocery stores and whatnot. Make sure to watch the video. It's going to be linked here on the screen and probably down below as well. If you're looking for information on Merlot and Chianti, chances are pretty good you probably have a few things that you could learn about some of the other wines. Rob is fantastic for sharing all this information with it, and we want to say thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you in the next video.